Our next speaker, she used to dance on stage, but now she speaks instead. And after many years as a professional dancer, she decided to change direction, to totally work for a circular future. Now she's the head of circular design and co-founder of Ethica, a circular economy consultancy that operates worldwide with the aim of making the world a little bit better through circularity. Please welcome Anne Raudaskoski.
Thank you, Helena. Good day, everybody. It's great to be here. During the next half an hour or so, we will talk about design and the power of design. I want to start with a quote by Gregory Bateson. You might know him. He was a biologist and anthropologist in the 20th century. And he said that the major problems in the world are basically because people think in a different way than how the nature works. And I've kind of tweaked it a little bit so that I changed the word think in the way that people design. And this is really about kind of when we start talking about circular design framework, we need to align our thinking and our approach in the way that design has done for the past 3.8 billion years. A little bit about myself. So I come from Ethica, a circular economic consultancy, and this is our mission. This is what we do. We want to truly inspire and guide entire industries to succeed in a regenerative circular future. We have two legs of business. So one is consultancy. We work on kind of two levels. So one is working with executive teams and really working out what is the strategic direction of the company, what kind of roadmap do they need, so that they can systematically kind of design that journey towards a circular economy. And the other level is working very closely with R&D teams to help them and find the solutions, where to integrate kind of circularity checkpoints or how to redesign their R&D processes. One of our current flagship programs is Nordic Circular Design Programme that we actually launched yesterday. We have 12 companies from Finland, 10 from Sweden, 6 from Norway, and 3 from Denmark. So it's a truly cross-Nordic collaboration. And that's already 31 companies that are transforming and driving the market transition towards circularity. Oops, where did we go? Oh, no, this, okay. But that's in a nutshell about myself and about the company. Now I would like to take you to the 1950s. We go to the aftermath of the World War II. And, things were really hectic. It was post-war times, and we started to build more, we started to use energy more, we started building factories more, production lines were churning new products at an ever kind of faster pace. We needed more energy, so we started building more dams to get more energy. We needed more water. We needed more transportation. People started moving into the cities, so we needed new buildings over there. GDP, gross domestic product, came the de facto way of measuring economic growth. And that would be obviously another topic to debate, but that's how it went. And you can see in this picture the kind of hockey stick type of curve. And once you put next to that what happened in our Earth system trends, you can see a similar hockey stick effect, right? So once we were doing all these, kind of rebuilding and designing our lives, our business operations, our cities, our countries, we raised very steeply carbon dioxide levels. Methane levels went up as well. Oceans started to acidificate. Stratospheric ozone layer went highly up. Coastal nitrogen jumped, took a real leap. So this is kind of crystallizing how we designed our linear economy. We were really kind of doing it in a way that we truly take, make, and waste. And this, of course, afterwards was named as the Great Acceleration. And of course, it's worth asking whether the Great Acceleration was so great after all. And when we look at the same kind of hockey stick curve through numbers, you can see here global material flows that we use every single year. Who's read the report Limits to Growth, or at least heard about it? It came out in 1972. Yeah, quite a few have at least heard about it, yeah. The scientists at the time said that we were under 30 gigatons a year, that this is an unsustainable path. But as you can see, choop, up we went. And you can see the red line, so it's kind of shooting beyond the slide. So since then, we've more than tripled our material consumption. 90% of it becomes waste. And the way we handle materials and use them, so basically design them, we create the majority of the greenhouse gas emissions. And also, through this linear design, we generate 90% of biodiversity loss. So basically, we have designed a linear system. And of course, now what we want to do through circular design is to kind of change the course of all this. One way to look at it is to have these different kind of layers. So planetary level is about natural ecosystem. So basically, it's about how nature works, how this Earth of ours works. Who's heard about planetary boundaries? Wow, very sophisticated audience. I love it. So we're talking about planetary boundaries here. Nature has its own laws. It doesn't change the way it works. And that's why we're kind of been hitting our head against the wall, because we've been designing differently than how the nature works. But then when we talk about meso-level, that refers to, for example, EU policies. And of course, you know that we have the Green Deal, we have the Circular Economy Action Plan, there's a constant range of legislation coming up. Then the macro level is about business operations, it's about your supply chains. And then micro level is about your product. What kind of materials and chemicals go into your product? Are they life-friendly or are they toxic? And it's also about product's journey. Now, when we talk about circular design, we talk about multiple life cycles, not just one life cycle, but multiple life cycles. And what is interesting here is that these meso, macro, and micro are all man-made. So they are designed by us. And yet, we are still bound by the planetary level. So we can't work against it. And that's why it's fantastic now that the circular economy thinking, I was really, excited when I was listening to Madeleine's words, what she said about all these initiatives going on here. But that's why we need the kind of new approach and new mindset. When you start transforming circular economy principles into your kind of business development, you need a systemic approach. And this is something that we've been developing at Ethica for years. So I started running eco-design sprints that turned into circular design sprints, and then throughout our consultancy work and circular design programs, this is something that we are using with our clients. So basically the idea is that you don't just pick and choose one corner of that pyramid, but you actually iterate between all those three. So you need to redesign your business, but you also need to do it in conjunction with your service design and customer experience, and have product design going in parallel as well. And then you kind of start transforming your business into a circular mode of operating. If we look at it a little bit more in detail, so from the business perspective, only in Europe, circular way of operating could bring additional economic value of 1.8 trillion euros. That is a lot of money. So it tells something about our wasteful linear economy. So we're not just wasting materials, but we are wasting a lot of money through a linear design approach. And of course, then, saving money, approximately worth of 6 billion euros every single year. Then if we look at product design, we know that 80% of the product's environmental impact is decided at design stage. So basically, you as designers have a massive power when designing a new product. And then when we look at service design, this is a result from the recent global consumer study. So citizens across the entire globe really want companies to design more environmentally responsible products. So obviously the demand is there, and I think that it's a great design challenge for companies to really rethink that, okay, how do we create that irresistible circular offering that people want to choose instead of buying linear products? And natural ecosystems, you all know about planetary boundaries. We've already transgressed 6 out of 9 planetary boundaries. And now we are closing to transgressing the 7th planetary boundary. So this is why we need a holistic business development framework to iterate between these corners and to really start that transformation journey, and doing it in a way that, of course, is economically viable. So you're never kind of just designing a product without having the kind of economic understanding and roadmap going in parallel with that. I would have 3 stories for you based on this framework. Are you up for hearing them? Yes? Great. Let's start from the service part. And I think, who is here a designer? Yeah, quite a few. And I think that this service part is really interesting because when I started as a circular economy consultant 11 years ago, I think with hindsight, that's always the best form of knowledge and wisdom, of course, but we were very kind of technical and instrumental. We were talking about how do we close the loop, how do we design for modularity, but we were not talking about the customer. And of course, service design has always been interested in the customer, and there's behavioral economics, there's behavioral design. So there are all those tools and kind of frameworks that we need to utilize, but we just need to bring them into the circular context. And this is what we are experiencing now. We're not quite there yet, but we are getting there. But do you recognize this guy in the picture? Because we are in Sweden, Someone might, yeah. I can see a hesitant hand there. This is Henrik Nilsson. And we go back to year 1995. At that time, Henrik was this young lad, and he was studying, and the money was short. But he needed a computer for his studies. So what he did, he started going around in nearby companies and asking whether they had discarded computers in their cupboards. And it turned out that they did, loads of them. So Henrik took those laptops, computers, and realized that, you know, if you just do a little bit of fixing, a little bit of tweaking, you can still have a fully functioning computer. So actually what Henrik realized much earlier than most of us was that there was a lot of value embedded in those discarded computers. And now when we talk about circular design, kind of value capture, value creation, value maintenance are the kind of fundamental terms. We didn't quite grasp it in a linear way of thinking and designing. We kind of know how to create value, but then we lose it very quickly. But in a circular design, we want to maintain it as long as possible. And this is what Henrik realized when he started fixing those computers. And nowadays, there's a company called Inrego that has offices in Sweden and in Finland and operates in 90 countries. And they realized that, hang on, these used computers who function perfectly well, we can provide as a service, both to companies and to private people. And that was a great kind of mindset shift, because something that you were always used to sell, you started selling as a service. And nowadays, Inrego has a turnover of around 40 million euros, and they're growing fast. So they were front runners in this kind of understanding that how do we create a new market, how do we create demand, and how do we keep products in circulation, but also how do we create business out of something that already exists out there that had been just discarded. Of course, because this was the service circle, it doesn't suffice that you just fix the computers. You really need to design a smooth customer journey and brilliant customer experience, in addition to branding it. And I think those are some of the key learnings. I've seen quite a few circular pilots by large multinationals that have failed because of not thinking about the customer, not thinking about the customer experience, but really being very kind of technical about the circular approach. So I think that there's a lot to learn, and sort of embedding that and thinking about the psychological value, that kind of human factor, how to design it into your product is key. We were yesterday recording a podcast that's part of the Nordic Circular Design Programme, and it's publicly available, so you'll hear the episode in a few weeks. But there was a company person from a Danish company called Tucked, a furniture company, and they said that we want to build love into our products. And I thought it was beautifully framed how they are thinking about their customer. So let's move on to the next circle, which is product. And that's another story. The lady that you see here is Julia Bialecka. She's from Ukraine. And now we go to year 2016. Now, Julia at the time was working remotely in Bali. And she had booked a surfing lesson. So she was walking towards the beach, ready to learn how to surf. But when she saw the beach, she got shocked. because there was piles of plastic on the beach, and not just small piles, but more like mountains of plastics. And after the lesson, she just could not get rid of that view. And that scene of seeing mountains of plastics where it shouldn't be didn't leave her. So for the next couple of years, she changed the course of her life, and she started studying, okay, what are the existing packaging solutions in the market? And how could I create a packaging solution that wouldn't end up lying here on the beach in Bali? And what she came up with, and she said this because I was interviewing her for my forthcoming book, that if you want to find a solution to something, just go back to nature. So you still remember the natural ecosystems. We are all bound by those, and that's what she did. And her startup company has developed this packaging material that has only 2 ingredients. One is agricultural waste stream or side stream, such as straw, and the other one is fungi. So basically just combining these 2 totally natural ingredients, she could create a packaging material that is waterproof and fire retardant and also soundproof. And the best news is that it decomposes completely, so it doesn't leave a trace in nature. So designing packaging solutions like this are possible, but we just need to kind of redesign or shift how we think about the nature and the solution. And I really like her approach that she didn't go for 15 ingredients, but simply 2. And in many cases, when you start exploring your products, who's done a bill of materials in your own company? Some of you, yeah. We just ran circular design masterclass in Estonia, and there was one company that was doing their bill of materials, so it's basically a list of all materials and components that goes into your product. And they realized that they were using over 2,000 materials in their products, and they were very similar to each other, but they just hadn't realized it before. So there was a lot of room for harmonization of their products. Okay, one always needs to have an ace in the sleeve, so this is the last example. And I've encircled all 3 corners. And now we go to year 1994. This man in the picture is Ray Anderson, a late founder of Interface, a carpet manufacturing company. And Ray, when he set up the company, he was a really hardcore capitalist. He wanted to make money, and he wanted to make loads of it. And then one day, he got a group of clients visiting his firm, and they were architects. And one of these architects asked him that, okay, so what is Interface doing in terms of the environment? What's the environmental policy? And that was a question that Ray had not anticipated. And it was an awkward moment, and Ray tried to whisper to his HR manager and asking that, do we have an environmental policy? And the answer was no. They had simply not paid any attention to this, minor detail. But once again, this one single question that was asked from him could not leave him alone. So what happened is that he went home, he couldn't sleep, and he thought, okay, what we are doing and how we are doing our business is not right. I want to change the course of interface. He went back to work and said that by 2020, we will have no negative environmental impact of interface. He had absolutely no idea how to reach that goal. And that's the key here, because once you set yourself a moonshot goal, the entire executive team's focus goes into reaching that goal, and your R&D team's efforts focus on reaching that same goal. So that's why you need to know where you are going. If Ray didn't have this epiphany, we would have never heard about interface. It would have been just another carpet company. Their turnover is over $1 billion. And if we look at it from the kind of what's happened since, there are lots of materials on interface and academic articles on how they kind of journey towards circularity has been a journey of innovations. So this is really about innovations when we talk about interfaces, a transformation journey. But from the business perspective, they started going from that selling carpet to selling services and figuring out that how do we close our loop? How do we create a circular value chain? And then from the product design perspective, they started designing for long life. They created modular carpets. They wanted to start using recycled materials. And this is an interesting detail, because when Ray told his head of design that we will start using recycled materials, the head of design replied to him that it's not possible. And Ray replied to him that it has to be, because nature is already doing it. They eliminated all the glues, because glues hindered reprocessing the carpets. So they had to design another type of solution for that. And then from the service design point of view, carpet as a service, but not only that, they started developing their interior design services. And of course, when you start selling your services, you want to maintain your carpets, you want to take them back, so you can develop a range of different services that improve the customer experience. And then when we think about natural ecosystems, they came out with carbon negative carpets in 2018, so that's already 6 years ago. Once again, a design solution, just designing in a different way. They're using a lot of biodegradable materials, and they aim to be carbon negative by 2040. And of course, entire operations run on renewable energy. Biomimicry, who's practiced or has heard about biomimicry? Ah, I love you. Personally, I think that that's the only way forward. That's what we need to design, using those biomimicry principles in terms of how nature has formed processes, how they design, or how nature designs materials, and how nature designs forms. So using nature as a mentor is our best kind of option to go forward. So this is a beautiful story of a transformation of the entire company. And you might have heard of these two guys, William McDonough and Michael Braungart. And they asked this question many years ago, that why not design for 100% good solutions? Why should you design for a little less bad solutions? What's the point in that? And I think that now, today we have all the tools, we have all the knowledge available, we have technological solutions, they exist, and they are becoming more and more cost efficient. So I think that there's only one way to go forward, to design for 100% good solutions. And I hope you are already doing it or starting tomorrow. But thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne, and thank you so much for sharing these really nice stories about Henrik and Julia and Ray. So that's so wonderful. But what's the main message you want to send to all the people who's visiting today?
Really, that design is the key in this market transition, because this is the biggest market transition of our time, from a linear to a circular economy. So less focus on how we manage waste and far more focus on innovation and how to design according to natural ecosystems.
And I introduce you as a dancer, or ex-dancer. So
yes.
Can you take something with you from your old career as a dancer to your new role?
Absolutely. I think the career as a dancer taught me perseverance. It taught me can-do attitude. And I think the interesting thing that is, to all of us is that our body is really like a microcosmos of the universe, because everything is interconnected in our body, but also in our world. So, having that understanding that it's interconnected and it's also a closed system. Our body is a closed system, but so is our world. So, we don't, for example, we don't get any extra raw materials from an outer space, but everything that we have exists already here or is growing. So, yeah, this is our unique home, but so is the planet Earth.
That's great. 2 planets here on stage right now.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you have a book very
yes.
soon. You're going to publish it very soon. And it's called Circular Strategies for Success. So
yes.
How does it feel? Your first book?
Very exciting. I've been interviewing nearly 20 companies for the book. And I've been writing a lot of stories and transformation journeys into the book. And of course, my wish is that through reading the book, anyone, business people, R&D people, designers, anyone, decision makers that wants to kind of nudge their thinking would realize that actually that circular design is the way forward. It's the best way to maintain your competitive edge, and it's also the most meaningful way of doing business.
Thank you so much, Anne, and good luck with the book.
Thank
Give her
you.
a big hand.
Thank you.